welcome. Here, Christina Luliani, welcoming you for our Empowered podcast. So, how have you been?
I've been really good. It's 4th of July. Well, we just finished 4th of July weekend. Had a lot of family visiting and got to see my brother from New York. So, great time. How was your 4th?
I had like a easy with some parties. Brazil played on the World Cup and lost, so I was very anxious.
Yeah.
But it was like, friends and family. That was fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So the episode that we're doing today is Sisterhood or Sabotage, exploring female dynamics. And you brought this to us about gossiping and why women, more so than men, wouldn't that be a fair statement? More so than men tend to gossip.
And I think the gossip is like that we're bringing in here is more into like diminishing other women, right? So we can use this for gossiping for different situations, but I thought about bringing it in something that what is her name?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle. She made a comment about like what was surprising her was to see how much of the hate was coming from another woman. So woman disempowering women. And then I thought that was very interesting. So we can look into gossiping and the conversations that diminish other women in the social media between our circle of friends, and like how much do we really empower each other when they're not present?
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
We have a tendency to put them down.
Right.
Why do we do that?
Right. So we want to discover why it is that we gossip, and mind you that we all gossip for different reasons, and we're going to address those different reasons, and hopefully you're going to be able to identify with some of those indicators, and also what we can do, tools that would be useful to prevent us in the future from gossiping, and then ultimately find new ways of bonding with one another.
Yeah, I think for me, preparing for the episode today, the most valuable tool that I got was to distinguish the reasons that leads us to gossip and find the one that is common in when I catch myself doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who love empowering women. Like that's I have a purpose to do that. And then I catch myself talking about other women other women, and why do I do that? Why didn't I come to the person and said, hey, I want to talk to you about this?
Yeah. And I think it's important to admit that even though we know we have the tools, we're well equipped, we actually help educate others to prevent them from falling down this rabbit hole, but yet we always slip back.
We are human beings.
We are human beings. Yeah.
We do, and I think the power in this is to recognize, bring awareness to it, and keep practicing what we want to see, the change that we want to see in the world on us, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's just go down a list here, and again, if you guys recognize any of these, let us know in the comments and let us know what you can identify with. So first one up is insecurity and competition. Again, these are reasons why women engage in negative, let's just call it what it is. Gossip is negative. It's a form of negative conversation. So insecurity and competition. Some women feel threatened by others' success or attributes. Some women gossip to make themselves feel better or superior by putting others down. This can stem from jealousy over another woman's appearance, relationship, or achievements. Have you ever gossiped because of situations or reasons like this? Do you identify?
Probably.
Yeah. I think so too.
I would say
Especially
like
in younger years.
What would lead us to do this kind of behavior and putting people down is the illusion that somehow we are different, that I am more or less, because in the moment that I have that I'm more than someone, that makes me less than somebody else, right? So there's like if I'm not that I am like you, then I would either have less or more?
Yeah.
Um,
I think that younger women tend to fall victim to this as a reason for gossiping. I think with age and maturity, we tend to realize, you know what? I'm never going to be the prettiest woman in the room. I'm never going to be the smartest. I'm never going to be the one with the most money. And what does it really matter?
well, where that started, right?
No, but ultimately, I think it takes, for me as an individual, I got to a place in my life, and I'm going to say it was probably in my 40s, where I no longer, I applauded women for their accomplishments. I didn't feel threatened, and me not feeling threatened was not a result of me just feeling like I just have so much that nobody threatens me. No, it's because there's room for all of us
Yes.
to continue to grow. And I'm happy for other women, even if they're far ahead of me in different aspects of life. But I think when we're younger, we're not thinking that way yet.
I think as younger, the immaturity, the emotional immaturity especially, the need to belong, to find your tribe, to see like, do I belong here? Who are my friends? Who am I gonna hang out with?
Yeah.
So that makes me over here with them over there, and there's like this illusion of separation and disconnection, and like I have to be more than them to stand out and be appreciated, and and then you go on and on and on that.
Yeah. No, that's so cute. Me here and them over there.
Right?
So, it's true. It's so true. Sometimes you say the things that just like it spins my wheels inside, because it's so how do I say, kind of simplified, but yet powerful. Simple words can be very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, what about number 2?
Projection. Women may project their own fears and anxieties or unwanted traits onto other women, criticizing others, what they dislike in themselves. Wow, this is like a huge thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because I can be with what I cannot in you, what I cannot stand in me.
Yeah.
So I had that with anger.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't be with anyone anger, because I couldn't stand out myself being angry. I had this conversation, I had this limiting belief unconsciously at that time that I'm gonna hurt people, and if I hurt people, they might, something happened in my past, and I hurt people, and then the next day they can be dead, and what am I gonna do? So that unconscious behavior of like, I cannot express anger because something bad can happen, led me to really suppress my emotions, because anger is a natural emotion, but suppressing them and then making other people anger wrong. So I couldn't be with them. So look at that, they shouldn't be angry, like pointing over there what I couldn't express over here.
Okay. So again, the individual, sometimes what can lead us to gossiping about somebody else is basically by having our own insecurities, our own anxieties, and then basically pulling the attention away from themselves onto somebody else, right? And I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a subconscious thing sometimes, and that's not that we necessarily want the other person to focus on somebody else in the negative. We don't want them to see us.
Yes. That's another thing, because then I deflect. Your attention goes there, doesn't stay here, right? Yeah. And that's another thing that I practice a lot, even though it's difficult. Am I being a victim here of someone? Right? Like if I'm talking about someone, it could come from they're doing something to me, I'm being a victim. If they're doing something and they're doing just something, it's one story. But if they're doing something and then I convey or I talk about it like they're doing something towards me, now I'm being a victim. And that puts me in a different position, because look at me, feel sorry for me, protect me, like, see my side. Don't you think I'm right?
Yeah. You're looking for a sense of validation or perspective, where, like an ally, you're trying to create allies.
Yes.
So yeah.
Which goes into the next one, which is the social conditioning. And that was like a big one for me.
Our culture often portrays female rivalry as normal, reinforcing this behavior through media and reality shows.
Yeah.
You asked me earlier if I relate to that, or do I watch reality shows where women are just going after other women. And I would say that, yes, I mean, there's a couple that I watch for just entertainment purposes, but the reason why I'll turn it off or just say, oh, no more of this, Christina, is because they are constantly putting other people down, not within their families, but other people, or they're finding fault in other women, you know, and that's just not empowering at all.
Yeah.
And so, but sometimes I watch these shows. Have you ever watched The View? I think
The View. You know what? I learned English with The View 28 years ago.
I think this is the second time I brought The View up in our podcast.
Oh yeah.
So clearly, you know, I just despise that show. But those group of women are constantly putting down not just other women, but I think it's a gossip show. I think Barbara Walters would be very upset with what happened to her show.
But isn't like The View, like they have different ages, women different ages to give different opinions and views about subjects, right?
Not all different. They're very much one-sided opinions. Yeah. But anyhow, so that is something that.
You know what? As we were talking, did you watch the Barbie movie?
No.
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 Okay, watch it. Because there's something interesting, and that came up as you're reading. There's a part in the movie where Barbie is ruling the world, okay? World. Yeah, so Barbie is ruling the world. I have a hard time saying the word world.
Okay.
And then in that world, everyone, all the women are a friend. They all support each other, and they're like, you know, they're like happy. They're happy, they're supporting each other, everybody. They do this, they do that. Now, throughout the movie, they get out of the kingdom, and then Ken goes and find out that there's a whole man's world, that he's the king. He comes back and he turns that world into a man's world. Now, in the man's world, the women are fighting. The women are competing with each other for the attention of the man. It's a whole turnaround. And I thought was very interesting as we are bringing this up, the social conditioning, where we actually live in an environment where it pulls for competition between women for man's attention. And men are competitive in their nature, their nature of instinct of producing results and fighting and, you know, getting the, hunting, and they have to compete. For survival, man has that instinct. And I think there's a lot of pressuring into the idea of women using their masculine energy to conquer workplace, to work careers, and then they get into the circle of competing with each other. And so it becomes like this environment where I have to put you down so I stand out.
Yeah, and sadly that just conveys to me weakness.
Yeah.
So in a world where you're trying to compete and be the best of the best, by gossiping and putting down your competitors, you know, it just reveals to me weakness and insecurities.
Yeah. And then the other side of it, which is if a woman is empowered, and which in the Barbie world, she was empowered. There was no need for competition. There was just the sisterhood, and everyone was fulfilled. Everyone had what they need, and they were happy.
Yeah, in the end.
Okay. Well, then
we'll have to check that one.
It was an interesting message.
Number 4 would be workplace. We just kind of covered that. Workplace pressures. In male-dominated environments, some women may feel compelled to be overly tough on female colleagues to prove themselves. But again, we emphasize the fact that can, I think often when people gossip, it reveals more about the gossiper than it does the person they're gossiping about. So be conscious of that when you're talking about something somebody negative.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were to talk to me about somebody negative, it would make me wonder right away, what does she say about me to other people?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, don't open that door.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk
another situation that I avoid.
What?
Can I tell you something? Someone that comes to me, oh, did you see something about this person? And I really don't like that. I really...
Oh, when people come to you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing I want to bring it up as you're talking. Sorry, my thing is itching. It's about... Let me put this back.
Okay.
It's about feminine and masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking about the workplace pressure and how men produce results. And when women discover femininity as a feminine power is different than masculine power, that, right? Like, that's really like, there's no need for gossiping.
Well, there you have it. No need for gossiping. That's the end of our episode. Thank you for joining.
Use the feminine energy. Okay, now how to bring feminine energy up. That's, I think, the point.
Number 5, conflict resolution. For some, negative talk is a misguided attempt to resolve conflicts or express frustrations. And I think you might do that.
I do a lot.
You might do that because you are looking essentially for a confidant or somebody like a soundboard where you can kind of share your frustrations and maybe get a different perspective or get, some honest, constructive feedback. Yeah? Would you say?
Yeah, I would say that I have to policy myself a lot, and I have learned a lot about this to, especially at work when we have a team of, right now we have about 12 women working together. And it's when there's conflicts in there, then there's, I was sharing with you earlier, it's very lonely to be the boss, to be the leader. And a lot of times women, we were talking about this, like we use this conversation and gossip to bond. And then you also have a fine line, right? Like, when is a gossip and when is something that you're bringing up to someone that can help you to resolve?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I bring it something about someone in my team to another person, usually my assistant manager, my front lead person, front desk lead, because I'm asking their view, their opinion, their view, because I don't want to just have conflict from my view. I'm interested in seeing other people's view.
I think that's actually a very responsible approach because you are checking yourself. And I think there is nothing wrong. I don't consider that gossip. The one thing that I would implement into that is, if this information, what's the intention behind sharing this information? Is it something I could say in front of a person, right, directly to them? And then, okay, but I think ultimately to classify when it's gossip versus when it's venting or vetting, your thoughts, is when it can be destructive to another individual, or your relationship with that other individual. I think
do you see yourself in any of those things that we were talking?
I see myself not as the gossiper, but I have seen myself in workplaces where women will use gossip as a way to form alliances, to bring people over to their camp. And it's like, I literally, going back to your story of like, did you bring up something about animals in jungle or men in tribes? Okay, something like that. Where they actually will, they're trying to create their own little tribe here. And then all of a sudden it's like, when it didn't serve its purpose, the same gossiper, for instance, didn't serve its purpose. All it did was convey to everybody, wow, you're not a person to be trusted. Then that person comes back and then trying to do the same, like they don't learn the lesson. They just keep doing that. Just trying to find a tribe to belong to, and they think gossiping is the way to do it, by creating alliances against other, whatever they they look at as a threat to them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, their well-being. So
Mhm.
yeah, I have been in situations like that. I'm pretty good about not gossiping in this situation, just to gossip or just to bring somebody else down. If I gossip, it's because there's an intention behind it, and it's like, you need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no other way of telling you this without sharing information that was shared with me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that doesn't make it right. It's just
Mhm.
something that I've caved into on a few occasions recently too.
I have my brother is really fun, and we joke with my mom. You were saying this, and I thought about the tribes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And the animals in the jungle.
well, I called my mom and I said, "Mom," and my brother is really cool about like, okay, tell us the gossip, like what's going on over
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
My mom's like, there's no gossip. My mom is really good about not gossip. There's nothing. There's nothing happening. Not even about them. Like she doesn't talk even about her. I arrive in Brazil, Christina, no kidding. She spent the whole day telling me everything that is happening.
Really? But was any of it about your siblings? Or just about like friends and friends
Yeah,
of the
usually
family?
about her, about family, extended family.
Okay.
Not about my siblings. Because my other sibling is in U.S. too,
Yeah.
and the other one is he's very private. But it's funny that here when I call on a month, like a weekly basis, she doesn't. No, there's nothing that I arrived there. She tells me everything that's happening.
Yeah, that's
It's
kind
the
of like
bonding,
a
right?
banter bonding moment. I know, yeah. And sometimes it's not ill intentions, especially if it's not going to hurt anybody, right?
Yeah.
But so there.
Yeah, but it's like things like, oh, this person got
Yeah.
married, that person had a child, this person like,
Yeah.
why don't you tell me during the week?
Yeah. And that is completely different. I think what we're really hoping to touch on
Yeah.
is
Sorry,
gossip
I went around.
No, but I'm glad that you did, because there is a different type of gossip. That's more of like the local newspaper, right?
That's
or the
right.
National Enquirer kind of thing. This is what's happening in Brazil. But
I think what we're talking about is the sabotage. The woman sabotaging another woman,
Mm-hmm.
putting women down. And, we see on social media with like no gain.
Yeah.
Like there's no gain of putting another woman down.
Yeah. And 6 and 7 here, we already discussed this, but we can both agree that it's about immaturity. Typically, gossiping behavior is more common in the younger age groups than the more mature woman. And then gossiping, one of the biggest culprits as to why women gossip is their own poor self-esteem, and that's often reflected outward when you're gossiping about something. Criticizing others can be a way to temporarily boost one's own self-esteem. Women engage in gossip about each other for several reasons. Sometimes it's boredom.
Well, yeah.
Right? Mom,
what is going on over there?
She just wanted to add some excitement to the conversation, and it's a way to get you guys to laugh and bond over the moment. Number 9, also social bonding. We were talking about in the workplace, sometimes women try to create tribes, alliances, so like they have their little group that they gossip with. They consider that tightness, and women often mistake bonding over gossip as we're intimate now, meaning like we're close now. But it's not. That's the fastest way to push people away from you, because inside they're not going to trust you. They won't trust you. What about this one?
Information gathering. Adolescent girls especially use gossip to learn about social dynamics, peer reactions, and acceptable behaviors with their social circles. I think it's important to note that while gossip is common, it can have negative consequences and harm relationship. Developing healthier ways to connect and communicate is generally more beneficial for individuals in group. It's important to note that this behavior is harmful and I think it's like what we are talking about it, like the girls, immaturity have this thing about being accepted in the group. What do I need to do to belong? Or I don't belong, then I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna,
And who wants to belong to a group like that?
but see, as a teenager, you want to belong. As a human being, you want to belong.
I know, but you have to rise above that. You have to, and if you happen to be a young woman in high school age or college, that is a way that women tend to find their little circles. But trust me when I say, don't become a part of it. Be the one that rises above it. And we're going to talk in a moment here about tools of ways to kind of turn off the gossiping. And at first people maybe reject you for it, but you know why? It's because they're threatened by you, because you had that power to walk away from it.
As you're thinking that, I was someone who got, what do you call, tricked when I was a teenager. Bully? It's not bully. They play a prank. Like there was a prank on me, and that had impact my whole life, and it created like a lot of, it created trauma. I can't say that, I'm here, but there was an impact on like how other people, and it was another woman who did what, and why, like, why to do
because
that?
She obviously,
she was jealous,
jealousy, their own insecurities, their own issues and problems at home, their own issues within their circle of friends. So they transferred it on. They found another person to transfer it all onto.
Yeah, to play a prank and laugh. And I would say, you asked the question, like, if you're a teenager, then how do you do it, right? I would say, this is the part that is spirituality, I think, that helped me a lot, especially young, was to find a spirituality and a connection with God as source, however that is represented for each person, because that gave me a lot of power when the humanity around me didn't give me the power. I found power in my relationship to God at that.
And usually the people, the like mind, that you fellowship with too, set great examples.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some tools. So we identify the different reasons why women tend to gossip. Perhaps some of you guys identified with some of those reasons. I know we both did. Some of the tools that are useful. Choose a confidant wisely. And we had this discussion earlier. It's important to have somebody that you can trust and kind of share that information with, because the reason why sometimes we want to talk about another person is we're having relationship conflicts, and perhaps that confidant can, give you constructive feedback. They're going to be honest with you. You can trust them with that information. They're going to listen to you. They're going to help you vet your thought process on the matter. So it's good to find somebody that you can entrust with.
I want to acknowledge my brother Celso, because we have a really good, like, he's my confidant, and we have a lot of fun. And I would say this, when you pick a confidant, you want to pick someone that you trust to give you constructive criticism, constructive feedback, because you don't want to just keep talking and have you an ally and just say like, yeah, you're right, without saying, hey, what can you do about it? How can you alter? Yeah, exactly. How can you alter the situation? Stop complaining about this.
Exactly. And that sometimes would be another female in the situation of women. Could be like in your case, your brother. It can also be somebody, a good friend, or somebody that could be your therapist.
Well, I have therapists, I have coaches, I have mentors, I have like a whole structure around me.
So anyways, choose your confidant wisely. Addressing underlying issues. Recognize if gossip stems from insecurity, boredom, or desire for connection, and find healthier ways to meet those needs. So that's first and foremost. Anytime you want to heal in any aspect of your life, you have to identify the root of the problem, the issue. And then that helps you better address it. Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I think complaining is a very good way of you having a hint that you're not being responsible. You're not holding yourself accountable when you keep complaining about someone. and I catch myself like, wow, I'm complaining about this too much. What is that I'm not being courageous to do? What is that I'm like avoiding? Where I'm like, putting other people down so I can make myself justified.
Yeah.
And because in the end, keep the complaining in place, have an impact. It have an impact of my joy. It have an impact of my peace, my collective environment. So I'm interested in having joy and play and connection and love and all that goodie, and I can't have that when I keep that complaining in place.
Right. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to be a mentor or do you want to be a gossiper? Do you want to be somebody who's toxic? How do you want to be perceived by other people in your circles in life? Keep quiet. Sometimes it's a person that approaches you that is going to use the opportunity to gossip. And the quickest way to shut that down is simply not respond with anything.
Yeah.
Or just say, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't even ask. If you ask how you feel about it, you might even have an answer.
Sometimes that prompts self-reflection, but
That's true.
But not engaging in this. Really, I can't believe that. And then when you're fueling that fire. So just keeping quiet when others start gossiping and practice remaining silent instead of
one thing I exercise too, I tell myself, this is not mine. This is not mine. This is not mine. This is not mine. And I keep saying this is not mine until I am able to neutralize, because there is the bonding, right? Like one of the reasons that I do is because I feel lonely.
Yeah.
So the bonding is instigate that need, and I was like, this is not mine, this is not how I want to bond, this is right, like keep that like a self-talk.
And also sometimes gossip happens not just on one-on-one but in larger circles, at a dinner party or at an event between a bunch of women, and the gossip starts and everybody engages, right, because they want to be part of the conversation. Well, just be the one that deters, kind of pulls it in a different direction.
Yeah.
You don't want to be standoffish, like you're above this, like you're just too good for this, because that's how you'll be perceived. But yet you can just creatively change the subject. Move on to another topic.
You can be the leader. You can be the leader.
Set the example.
Exactly.
This is how I want this group or event to run.
Mm-hmm.
Use the gossip grid. Before speaking, ask yourself if what you're about to say is kind, true, and necessary. I like that one, and also if it gets back to the person, is it going to hurt our relationship?
Yeah.
So if you can just kind of ask yourself those questions, and those questions are like, oh shoot, just zip it. Don't say anything. For me personally, study biblical perspectives. If relevant to your beliefs, familiarize yourself with religious teachings and gossip. What happened there? You kind of brought that up too. That sound that we're hearing is the air conditioning. I hope you guys aren't hearing that. I apologize if you are. Okay, and then we talked about redirecting conversations. You can be creative about that. So typically that will come towards you. The gossip's coming to you from somebody
I think
else.
Another tool that I use is people come from a perspective. We have a perspective, but we don't talk about life situations from a perspective. We have it that the way we see it is the way it is.
Repeat that.
When we
have
talk
one perspective, right? Yes.
Right? People talk about other situations because they have different perspectives.
Yeah.
But they don't interact with other people as they have a perspective. They have it that is the truth, is the only perspective valid.
It's their truth.
Is their truth is the only perspective valid. And I think that creates a lot of problem in relationships, because if I have that this is the truth, then you cannot have a different perspective than mine. So then I'm going to create alliance to like validate mine, and then we have this group, and then you have that group, and instead of like, okay, I have a different perspective than you, tell me about yours. I don't need to invalidate mine because I'm interested in yours.
Yeah.
Right?
There are some individuals that have lived inside a bubble for so long. That means, when I say that, it means that they surround themselves with yes people.
Mm-hmm.
They work in an environment where they're maybe just themselves. They don't have competition, or in the sense of where they're have to work with other individuals. And again, those yes people in their lives, they don't ever give them a different perspective to their point of view. They just kind of, okay, if that's what you say, okay. So, and then they step out into the world, and they have no idea how to function to where they're not feeling like rejection or pushback. And often those individuals will end up being those ones that need alliances. They need to make sure that everybody knows their perspective and accepts their perspective as law. And they struggle. They have a big struggle.
Yeah.
So, anything before we close this episode?
Usually the women that are doing that are the ones who crave for connection the most.
Oh, yes. And
right?
This is true.
So, yeah, this is a great topic. So, a practice that I'm taking on, that I already take on, is this worth saying it? Is what I have to say what's going to make a difference?
Yes.
It's going to impact my environment. Is this person being left empowered around me? And sometimes I fail, and then I stand up and I continue going.
Yeah, and you don't ever want to be perceived as a woman who is noted for gossiping or always having something negative to say about other women in their life. You want to be a woman who is appreciated for empowering other women, for exercising restraint, professionalism, respect, and you want to be noted for a woman that does not lend an open ear to gossip. Right?
Yep. All right, so I found the code, but that's your code you keep repeating. So you finish up.
No, I want to hear you say it.
Come on, it's your...
No. This isn't my quote. This is a quote that I stole. And I love it so much that it's imprinted on a lot of my emails. Go ahead, say it with your beautiful accent.
All right, so be the woman who fixes another woman's crown without telling the word it was crooked. I know my accent. Okay, let me say it again.
Okay.
So be the woman who, see, that's why you should read it. Be the woman who fixes another woman's crown without telling the word it was crooked.
Crooked.
All right.
That is so powerful. No, seriously, that is a really powerful quote. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So click to subscribe. Comment on us here. Tell us what you learned from today's episode and what is the things that you do. We would love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching.